Then you've got to run. Freedom ran away.
And now don't you wish I'd been recording then?
No.
Run away!
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
I have started a project
Uh-oh.
that I'm not ready to talk about publicly beyond that yet, but I have.
Wow.
I have started a project.
I am intrigued.
Whether I finish that project or not is another thing entirely.
Ah.
Because it might be significant outlay, it might not. I don't know yet.
The thick plottins.
Yes.
Right. You can't even give a hint.
No, not really.
Right.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well,
So then people might get too excited.
Yeah. And then you'll have the pressure of people being excited and then...
I want to make sure that what I'm thinking of works
Uh-huh.
before I actually put it out there.
Right. So if we see this green glow coming from underneath your bedroom door...
Run?
Run, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to clear out a section of the shed?
No, it's not. It's an internet project.
Oh.
It doesn't require any physical space.
I see. Are you trying to say that the internet does not take up a physical amount of space?
No, it does, obviously, just not one here.
Good. All right then. Well...
Okay, it takes up a tiny bit of space on my hard drive
right.
while I'm working on it.
Uh-huh.
But, no.
So, can we at least say watch this space?
If by watch this space we mean the file servers over at Cloudflare, then sure.
Ah. So, dear listener, if you want to hack into Cloudflare... Look, if I manage to get through this podcast, it is going to be a miracle. I have had a headache for most of the afternoon that I am busy telling myself is not going to develop into a full-blown migraine. But
And yet you have chosen not to call a rain check.
That's right. So if I suddenly start slurring my words and getting words mixed up, it's business as usual.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do anyway. Yeah.
So if this podcast is going out in the week that it's supposed to,
Yeah.
then great.
Great. Good. I can assure you that this is not a standby episode that we have tucked away for such occasions because we are watching the film that we said we were going to watch last week. Did you have anything else you wished to say about what you've been up to?
No, just watching state politics as usual.
As usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. The state of the state.
Yeah. The government has got up to 19. They only needed 18, but they've got up to 19.
That's just greedy.
O'Byrne and Johnston have both given very heavily caveated and conditioned support.
Fun and games.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I played a video game. I played Botany Manor. It's sort of escape room adjacent puzzle game in that you do the sorts of things that you would do in an escape room, but there's no particular time pressure or stress.
Right.
And it was brief, but I enjoyed it.
Right.
For what it was.
Did the people who made it, have they made others?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
So Botany Manor gets maybe not a glowing recommendation, but a recommendation.
1.5 thumbs up. Oh no, you don't give scores.
It was good.
Available wherever such things are available.
Yeah. Currently on Game Pass, so I didn't have to pay anything for it.
All right. I donated plasma.
Yep.
Other than that, no. Got nothing. What did we watch for movie night? It was... no, doesn't matter. We'll move on. So we shall move on.
You've been on an anime kick over there
We
on
have-
Friday nights.
We have. It's all a bit of an anime blur, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of it. A silent something.
A silent voice?
Silent voice, was it? That sounds familiar.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. A silent voice. We watched A Silent Voice, which is indeed an anime. So that was good. 2 thumbs up for me. But I don't give scores, do I?
No.
All right then. But
Not on this.
No,
Not unless it's a gag.
that's right. We have a film to watch.
We do.
That we're going to watch because it is somewhat lengthy. So we best get into it. What are we watching today?
We are watching the 1991 film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Indeed. With old Kevin Costner
Yep.
throwing his bows and arrows of outrageous fortune everywhere. And Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, there's a few names in this cast list.
There he is.
Christian Slater,
Slater.
Alan Rickman, Brian Blessed.
Oh, Brian Blessed. Good. I don't recall Brian Blessed being in it. Huh. That's interesting.
Well, presumably he is, because he's in this cast list.
But IMDb occasionally gets it wrong.
This is not the IMDb cast list. This is the Netflix cast
The
list.
Netflix cast list occasionally gets it wrong. We're going to wind up the old Netflix. We're going to watch this film, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
Only if you want an arrow in the eye or the knee. Yes. You mongrel. So what did you think?
Yeah, that's a perfectly competent Robin Hood adaptation, isn't it?
It's a romp.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. You have to do pretty badly to get Robin Hood wrong, I think.
And yet it has happened.
Yeah.
And this movie in and of itself does have its weaknesses. I did have to laugh when Kevin Costner, almost the first thing he says, I think, in the film was, "This is English courage." And he may even almost have had an English accent when he said that, but it diminished and completely disappeared through the entire film. But we will forgive him for that. The film would not have happened if Kevin Costner did not involve himself in it. I believe he very strongly pushed for the production of this.
Alan Rickman. Excellent in it.
Oh, he just plays such a great bad guy. I must admit that he did make me feel quite uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My understanding is that the producers did approach him twice and got turned away, saying he didn't want to do it, until they gave him carte blanche to do it how he wished to. So he definitely hammed it up in a most devilishly evil way. So
Oh, yeah.
I realise now why I did not recall Brian Blessed being in the film, considering he was only in it for maybe 5 minutes, I would say. And what was really disturbing is that as he's vocally dictating his letter as he writes it, I thought it was Patrick Stewart speaking. So that threw me because you hear him before you see him. I'm thinking, I don't recall Patrick Stewart being in this. And then, oh, it's Brian Blessed. One hang-up that I had is that there are a lot of set pieces. And I mean that in 2 ways. The set piece fights, but in a set that in a lot of places isn't terribly solid. There was one time especially when Robin and Marion first meet, where he slams her hand against a solid stone wall to make her release the knife that she had in her hand. And I am quite certain that solid rock wall wobbled each time the hand was bashed against it. And further on in the film, the big final fight scene, there were things that were obviously prop pieces designed especially to break. There was a lot of non-solidness to things that, if it were made these days, it would be a lot more solid, I think, or appear a lot more solid.
How many foam railings do we want in this
Indeed.
fight?
And the statue would have been carved out of stone,
Yeah.
but when it breaks apart, it's
Clearly past plaster.
plaster, yes. So, these nitpicks aside,
The film has humour.
yeah. It has a Chekhov's dagger.
Yeah. The humour is often at the sheriff's expense,
Yeah.
I feel.
Interestingly, and I did mention that I was going to bring this up last week, this was, at the time, your mother's favourite film. And before we were married, one of the possible suggestions that I had possible feelings for her is that I bought her a copy of this on VHS because she liked it so much. And then she bought me a tie, which is a really radical thing for two people who are not seeing each other to do. So I don't know.
It all worked out.
Yeah, and years later, for one of her birthdays, I bought her the DVD version of it. And we sat down to watch it, and that added some scenes back, and just little snippets of things that weren't in the version that we had grown fond of, including Christian Slater's F-bomb drop.
Oh, yeah.
had been placed back into the film. So the version that we saw was basically the edition that got the PG rating, both here and the UK, where that had been trimmed.
I was looking at the classification website, and no, there's a PG and an M cut.
Yeah, and that's also what confused me. When I bought the DVD, it was rated M, and I thought, it was rated PG when we got it on the VHS, and not realising that I was familiar with reclassifications of films, but hadn't realised that they'd added that back in, which explains why there are two versions on the shelf. For completeness sake, I ordered a UK version that was minus the F-bomb. That being said, it certainly evoked the laughs that it was played for in the little audience that we had today. Funny stuff.
The score is fine.
Did you recognise some of it?
Yes. Some of it did sound very familiar.
Yeah. Morgan Creek Productions, so the production company, uses part of a motif in the opening. Well, it's repeated throughout the film.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the entire story behind it, but Morgan Creek Productions did use that as their musical logo.
Yeah.
So that's why it was familiar.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a generally okay score, I think. There was one moment where the score really lined up with something that the sheriff was doing. I think hammering something.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Yeah. I did mention that there were definite set pieces where you felt like you were in the studio, but they also did take strong advantage of scenery that just evoked Robin Hood, basically, including the famous tree at that dip right as they're returning to England and they're having the conversation with the tree where the kid gets chased up on the remains of Hadrian's Wall. That particular tree, a vandal year or two ago chopped it down, and it had been there for a very long time, but apparently they have seedlings from the dead tree and are growing, but unfortunately it grows very, very slowly. But it lives on. A great old romp. Yeah
it works.
Yep, do recommend it, and it is on Netflix, at least in Australia. This universal streaming medium that isn't universal, it just gets confusing.
Mm.
Do you have anything else to say about...
No.
Oh, one more interesting King Richard.
Oh, yeah.
King Richard the Lionheart. It should be pointed out that even though King Richard had a very strong Scottish accent in this film, he was actually English and died at the age of 41. And he appeared to be a little older than 41 in this. But we're talking mythology here, so...
I mean, you have the opportunity to make Sean Connery king, and you take it, right?
Spoiler, he didn't even get credited in the credits.
What, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must have really wanted it then.
Oh, I guess so. All right, then. We shall move on, then.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
No, you've distracted me now. Oh, yeah, uncredited.
You doubt your father? Prepare to die. Oh, no, that was another film that had a forced marriage in it.
Of dubious...
Yes.
Of dubious completion.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. We will start over on Discord with Entuosferatu,
Hello, Entuosferatu.
who applauds the entertainer performance and says excellently done.
Yes, I shall pass that on.
Continues, apologies for flooding your recommendations with possibly cursed movies. I'm excited for next week. Unlike some Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent. If nothing else, Alan Rickman is a delight.
He is an absolute evil delight.
Yeah.
As always.
I am going to circle back to this one when we get to the guesses, because it makes more sense once we get to the...
They're both identically different except for the other one. Right, yes.
We will go to Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Who says the Fontcast, or whatever that local politics podcast was called, surely doesn't have a theme song with ukulele music. No, I think they just have some royalty-free piece of naff.
Ripped off the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly don't have lyrics.
Not bespoke
at
all.
Kudos to Raven for the entertainer on short notice.
We'll pass that on as well.
Still on Facebook, Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Says,
who will hear this in 2025, possibly?
I'm still at Blade Runner, which was released as an episode here on the 2nd of June 2022. So, only a little under a year's worth of content to get through there.
Yep.
And M on Twitter,
which I've only just seen, so I'm fretting over this now.
I think most podcasts would significantly improve if they also had a deranged cat, but they still wouldn't be as good as this one.
And the deranged cat has disappointed me this week.
Oh?
This past week. Well, the deranged cat, strangely enough, sits behind me whilst I edit. Usually has nothing to do with me much, but every Thursday when I'm editing the podcast, he will sit on his little spot behind me as I edit. But he's meant to point out edit discrepancies and errors, and I've just found out that there is quite possibly 2 in last week's episode, so I'm going to have to remedy that.
Right. Assuming it is remediable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything's remediable. Remediable.
Sure.
Able to be remedied.
Let's go now to the guesses.
Oh, just before we do, I do need to make a shout out to a dear listener who introduced themselves to me today in person.
Right.
Yes. Came up to me today and said that he's really enjoying the podcast. And a shout out to Addison, whose father inflicts it upon him when Addison is being naughty. And right, it's the podcast for you. Oh no, Father, no! And yes, he came up to me today and said that he really enjoyed it, as his father pulled his arm up behind his back. I enjoy it! Please let go! Yes. So there we go.
Now on to the guesses.
Yes.
We have 2 unique guesses shared amongst 4 contributors.
Mm-hmm.
One of those guesses is only held by Entosferatu,
Yes.
who has provided the sting. That's an underscore in between the and sting, which unfortunately...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, that is 9 characters.
Oh.
It's a shame.
I'm sorry, Entosferatu. We reiterate that the largest letters that we've discovered are available, alphanumeric or underscore, is a total of 8.
Alas, the sting with an underscore is 9.
It is.
Everyone else has gone for the sting with no underscore.
What are they thinking?
Well, I'm going to go through their comments
Okay.
on this. First of all, from E of Pi, who hasn't been heard from so far this episode, says, guessing the sting with no underscore based on the discussion on the show. On the topic of recommendations, have you seen Shaolin Soccer?
I have not, and I remember
No.
when it came out, I thought, that looks interesting. So we shall have to look into that and add it to the list.
Might need to split this in half and reverse the halves to put the guess last and separate, thereby being very confusing.
Good, yes. Good. Great guess.
Also guessing the sting with no underscore is Helen, who says, I'm going with the sting this week, as in the sting, 1, 2, 3.
The sting, 1, 2, 3.
Along with everyone else in the entire audience. It will be extremely surprising if any of us get it, let alone all of us, since there are now 3,512,479,453,921 possibilities, which is 1,369 times as many as there used to be.
See, it's opened up a whole new world.
And
A whole new world. Oh, sorry.
Emma has also gone for the sting with no underscore. And I can reveal exclusively here on the podcast that the file name is the sting with no underscore.
Should have spelled it backwards. But I've said time and time again, it is a case of just quickly putting in a file name on the time of recording.
Yeah.
That actually never ever gets used for any other purpose other than to fulfill the Aspie side of me that needs to give it a file name.
Yeah.
As soon as I load it into the computer to edit, that file name I don't even touch because it creates a folder that in it contains the left and right channel audio that doesn't have the file name attached to it. As soon as I pull those two audio files, the left and right, into the computer, that's it.
So, E of Pi, Helen and M, arbitrary points for all.
Well done, all.
And a reminder, as always, that you are welcome to provide suggestions for films that we should watch, and to make guesses as to the file name attached to nothing of importance.
That's right.
And to provide any other sort of comment in all the usual places.
I'm just showing Thomas what this week's file name is.
Yep.
Good. And I'm mentioning that Thomas has created a great little spreadsheet of all of the suggestions of movies so that we can pick from those.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that I have done.
Yes.
Yep.
Can rely on him to do that.
I am reliable and not a liar.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. We shall move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed. It's your turn.
Actually, I should point out that lovely list that he has created, I am going to dip into straight away.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm going to skip my turn of choosing a movie So it'll be my turn next time we record.
I
Is that
have
how it
no
works?
strong objection. I have no strong objection to this. I don't think it is how it works, but I'm not fussed.
Well, I don't think we've fully had a production meeting to determine how we pick from and when we pick from that list that Thomas has so expertly created from your suggestions.
They're suggestions to take or ignore as we please.
Well, I'm taking one. So, can Thomas guess from the list that he has created? He's looking at it now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you one hint. Okay. It stars Peter Dinklage. Mm-hmm. And this is the plot synopsis on the back of the DVD case, which is on the shelf.
Right.
It's confusing him even more. When his only friend dies, a man born with dwarfism moves to rural New Jersey to live a life of solitude, only to meet a chatty hot dog vendor and a woman dealing with her own personal loss. You haven't buzzed in yet, Thomas.
I haven't buzzed in, no.
You've got the list right in front of you too. Next week we're going to be watching one of our dear listener Helen's suggestions, and that is The Station Agent.
Yes, I see it now. Yes, I know everything about the station agent.
What I have just
all the
read
details.
is about how much I know, and it landed on the shelf earlier this week.
Right. Yep.
But landed in the My Movies database about 15-20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and I won't have looked at the My
No.
Movies database because it wasn't my turn.
No, that's right. So next week we are going to watch the 2003 comedy drama The Station Agent. We hope you can join us, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us, in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
Did we get there?
I think so.
Yeah, we got there.
As my brain explodes. Okay, my brains explode. Plural.
Right.
Well, I heard 3 explosions. I'm stopping. My brain.
Is there someone else in the room?
I got my head stuck in a cupboard. Open the door and come in. So next week we are watching now, what genre does this put it in? Comedy drama. We're going to watch the comedy drama. We are going to watch the 2003 comedy drama The Station Agent next week.